The lunch rush at Sunnyside Diner hit like a hurricane that Friday afternoon, a whirlwind of clattering plates, hissing coffee pots, and voices weaving a chaotic tapestry through the steamy air. Amid the frenzy, Emily Carter, a 26-year-old waitress, with eyes shadowed by exhaustion but a smile that could light up Brooklyn, moved like a seasoned conductor, balancing trays of greasy burgers and milkshakes with a grace that defied the chaos. She wasn't just serving food, she was holding together a life stitched with worry. Her mother's cancer treatments drained their bank account faster than Emily could fill it, forcing her to pull double shifts to cover medical bills and the rent for their tiny apartment. Yet no one would guess the weight she carried. To every customer, from the cranky to the kind, she offered warmth, her voice a soft anchor in the storm of the diner's bustle. Her story, one of quiet resilience, could easily inspire a tale on MidnightTales, where stories of human grit and heart unfold. Into this whirlwind walked a man, alone, his presence almost swallowed by the diner's clamor. His jeans were faded, his flannel shirt creased, and his hair clung to his forehead, damp from the rain that streaked the windows. He chose a booth tucked in the corner, far from the chatter of families and the clink of spoons against coffee mugs. His shoulders sagged, not just from a long day but from a weariness that seemed to seep from his bones. Emily, with her knack for reading people, caught the heaviness in his eyes, the kind that spoke of more than a missed bus or a bad meeting. She approached, setting down a glass of water with a gentleness that felt like a gift. "Rough day?" she asked, her voice soft but steady, like a friend checking in. He managed a small, grateful smile, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yeah, something like that." He ordered a black coffee, nothing more, and let it sit untouched, his gaze drifting between the rain-soaked street outside and the scuffed toes of his worn shoes. As the hours ticked by, Emily kept an eye on him while weaving through her tables, refilling cups and dodging spilled ketchup. The man hadn't touched his coffee, his fingers occasionally tracing the rim of the mug as if it held answers he couldn't find. She'd seen this before, people adrift, their thoughts heavy with unspoken burdens, maybe teetering on the edge of giving up. Her heart tugged, a familiar ache. She couldn't fix the world, but she could do something. Without a word, she slipped into the kitchen, paid for a bowl of the diner's hearty vegetable soup and half a turkey sandwich out of her own tips, and set them before him. "On the house," she said when he looked up, startled, his protest cut short by her warm smile. His eyes glistened, a flicker of something raw passing through them, gratitude maybe, or relief. He nodded, words failing him, and ate in silence, each bite seeming to ground him just a little. It was the kind of moment that could spark a story. On MidnightTales, where small acts of kindness ripple into something profound, but the diner wasn't all warm gestures. Rick, the manager, prowled the floor like a vulture, his eyes sharp for anything that dented the bottom line. He'd seen Emily's act, and his face twisted with the kind of anger that came from a heart more ledger than human. As soon as the man left, Rick stormed over, his voice a low growl that cut through the diner's hum. "You think this is a soup kitchen? That's company property you gave away?" Emily's cheeks flushed, her voice trembling as she tried to explain. "He needed it, Rick. It was just a sandwich." But Rick wasn't hearing it. "You're done?" he snapped, pointing to the back. "Clean out your locker. I don't need bleeding hearts losing me money." The diner fell quiet, customers' eyes darting to Emily as she stood frozen, her apron suddenly feeling heavier than ever. She folded it, left it on the counter, and walked out into the rain. Her heart, a tangle of heartbreak and certainty she'd done the right thing, no matter the cost. The scene was raw, real, the kind of human drama that would grip viewers on MidnightTales. Days blurred into a week, each one heavier than the last. Emily pounded the pavement, filling out job applications at every cafe, shop, and diner in Brooklyn, but rejection after rejection piled up like unpaid bills. Her mother's treatments loomed, a ticking clock she couldn't outrun. She barely slept, her mind racing with worry, but she kept her smile for her mother, hiding the fear that gnawed at her. Then, one gray morning, a knock came at her apartment door. She opened it to find the man from the diner, but he was transformed. Worn jeans or flannel, but a sharp, tailored suit that spoke of boardrooms and big decisions. Miss Carter, he asked, his smile kind but confident. "I'm Andrew Sterling, CEO of Sterling Hospitality Group." Emily blinked, her mind scrambling to catch up. He stepped inside, his presence steady, and explained, "That day at the diner, I wasn't just a guy having a bad day. I was undercover, testing the staff before we acquired the franchise. I wanted to see how people treat others when they think no one important is watching." Emily's breath caught, her heart pounding as he continued. "You didn't just pass the test, you reminded me what hospitality really means. Kindness, humanity, selflessness. Rick's gone, by the way. He didn't fit our vision." He paused, his eyes softening. "I'd like to offer you a job managing a new location, full benefits, a good salary, and I hope your mother's doing okay." Tears spilled down Emily's cheeks, not from pain this time, but from a relief so deep it felt like breathing for the first time in weeks. She nodded, words stuck in her throat, and accepted. The moment was electric, a twist of fate that could anchor an episode on MidnightTales, where life's lowest points bloom into hope. Within a year, the diner Emily managed became a beacon in the city, not just for its crispy fries or creamy shakes, but for the warmth that radiated from every corner. Emily poured her heart into the place, greeting customers with the same kindness she'd shown that rainy day, training her staff to see people, not just orders. The diner buzzed with life, packed with regulars who came as much for the feeling as the food. Andrew Sterling became a frequent visitor, always taking the same corner booth, his eyes crinkling with a quiet pride as he watched the place thrive. He'd sit with a coffee, sometimes even drinking it, reflecting on how one small gesture had reshaped not just Emily's life, but his own perspective on what mattered. Emily's stories spread, whispered among customers, and shared in late-night conversations, the kind of tale that could light up MidnightTales with its raw human core. Her act of kindness hadn't just fed a stranger, it had fed her own future, turning a moment of compassion into a lifeline. Her mother's treatments continued, and while the road wasn't easy, the new job gave Emily the stability to face it. She'd walk through the diner, her smile brighter now, her steps lighter, knowing she'd made a difference, not just for herself, but for everyone who walked through those doors. The diner became a place where people felt seen, where a cup of coffee or a kind word could shift the weight of a heavy day. Andrew too carried the lesson with him. He'd built an empire on numbers and strategy, but Emily's quiet courage reminded him of the heart behind it all. He'd watch her from that corner booth, sometimes jotting notes for new projects, but mostly just soaking in the atmosphere she'd created. It wasn't just a diner anymore, it was a haven, a testament to what happens when someone chooses kindness over convenience, heart over profit. He'd tell the story at board meetings, his voice catching as he described that bowl of soup, that half sandwich, and the waitress who'd changed everything without knowing it. It was the kind of story that could headline MidnightTales, a reminder that the smallest acts can ripple outward, touching lives in ways no one could predict. Emily never forgot that rainy day, the man in the booth, or the choice she made. It wasn't just about a sandwich, it was about seeing someone, really seeing them, and offering what little she had. She'd think about it sometimes, wiping down tables or chatting with a regular, and it would hit her. Kindness wasn't just a moment, it was a movement. It was why people kept coming back, why the diner felt like home, why her staff worked with a spark in their eyes. She'd built something real, something lasting, and it all started with a single act that could have been forgotten, but instead, he became a legend. It was the kind of legend that belonged on MidnightTales, where stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things light up the night. The world didn't always reward kindness right away, but Emily's story proved it had a way of coming back, like a boomerang of hope. It showed up in the customers who left bigger tips, in the staff who stayed late to help, in the community that rallied around the diner. It showed up in Andrew's visits, in the way he'd linger in that booth, reminded that business wasn't just about money, it was about people. And it showed up in Emily herself, who carried her mother's fight and her own with a strength she hadn't known she had. Her life wasn't perfect, but it was hers, built on a foundation of compassion that nothing could shake. That was the magic of her story, the kind that could captivate an audience on MidnightTales, leaving them with a truth as old as time. Never underestimate the power of a kind heart. It might just change the world, or at least one corner of Brooklyn forever.